Your Faith is Your Fortune by Neville Goddard, Chapter 24, Clairvoyance, Count of Monte Cristo. Having eyes, see ye not, and having ears, hear ye not, and do ye not remember? True clairvoyance rests not in your ability to see things beyond the range of human vision, but rather in your ability to understand that which you see. A financial statement can be seen by anyone, but very few can read a financial statement. The capacity to interpret the statement is the mark of clear seeing or clairvoyance. That every object, both animate and inanimate, is enveloped in a liquid light, which moves and pulsates with an energy far more radiant than the objects themselves, no one knows better than the author. But he also knows that the ability to see such auras is not equal to the ability to understand that which one sees in the world around about him. To illustrate this point, here is a story with which the whole world is familiar, yet only one true mystic or clairvoyant has ever really seen it. Synopsis. The story of Dumas, Count of Monte Cristo, is to the mystic and true clairvoyant the biography of every man. 1. Edmond Dantes, a young sailor, finds the captain of his ship dead. Taking command of the ship in the midst of a storm-swept sea, he attempts to steer the ship into a safe anchorage. Commentary. Life itself is a storm-swept sea, with which man wrestles as he tries to steer himself into a haven of rest. 2. On Dantes is a secret document which must be given to a man he does not know, but who will make himself known to the young sailor in due time. This document is a plan to set the Emperor Napoleon free from his prisons on the Isle of Elba. Commentary. Within every man is a secret plan that will set free the mighty emperor within himself. 3. As Dante reaches port, 3 men, who by their flattery and praise have succeeded in worming their way into the good graces of the present king, fearing any change that would alter their positions in the government, have the young mariner arrested and committed to the catacombs. Commentary. Man, in his attempt to find security in this world, is misled by the false lights of greed, vanity, and power. Most men believe that fame, great wealth, or political power would secure them against the storms of life, so they seek to acquire these anchors of their life, only to find that in their search for these they gradually lose the knowledge of their true being. If man places faith in the things other than himself, that in which his faith is placed will in time destroy him, at which time he will be as one imprisoned in confusion and despair. 4. Here in this tomb, Dante is forgotten and left rot. Many years pass. Then one day, Dante, who is by this time a living skeleton, hears a knock on his wall. Answering this knock, he hears the voice of one on the other side of the stone. In response to this voice, Dante removes the stone and discovers an old priest, who has been in prison so long that no one knows the reason for his imprisonment or length of time he has been there. Commentary. Here, behind these walls of mental darkness, man remains in what appears to be a living death. After years of disappointment, man returns from these false friends, and he discovers within himself the Ancient One, his awareness of being, who has been buried since the day he first believed himself to be man and forgot that he was God. 5. The old priest has spent many years digging his way out of this living tomb, only to discover that he had dug his way into Dante's tomb. He then resigns himself to his faith and decides to find his joy and freedom by instructing Dante in all that he knows concerning the mysteries of life, and to aid him to escape as well. Dante, at first, is impatient to acquire all this information, but the old priest, with infinite patience garnered through his long imprisonment, shows Dante how unfit he is to receive this knowledge in his present, unprepared, anxious mind. So, with philosophic calm, he slowly reveals to the young man the mysteries of life and time. Commentary. This revelation is so wonderful that when man first hears it, he wants to acquire it all at once, but he finds that, after numberless years spent in the belief of being man, he has so completely forgotten his true identity that he is now incapable of absorbing his memory of this memory all at once. He also discovers that he can do so only in proportion to his letting go of all human values and opinions. 6. As Dante ripens under the old priest's instructions, the old man finds himself living more and more in the consciousness of Dante. Finally, he imparts his last bit of wisdom to Dante, making him competent to handle positions of trust. He then tells him of an inexhaustible treasure buried on the Isle of Monte Cristo. Commentary. As man drops these cherished human values, he absorbs more and more of the light, the old priest, until finally he becomes the light and knows himself to be the Ancient One. I am the light of the world. 7. At this revelation, the walls of the catacomb, which separated them from the ocean above, cave in, crushing the old man to death. The guards, discovering the accident, sew the old priest's body into a sack and prepare to cast it out to sea. As they leave to get a stretcher, Dante removes the body of the old priest and sews himself into the bag. The guards, unaware of this change of bodies and believing him to be the old man, throw Dante into the water. Commentary. The flowing of both blood and water in the death of the old priest is comparable to the flow of blood and water from the side of Jesus as the Roman soldiers pierced him, the phenomenon which always takes place at birth, here symbolizing the birth of our higher consciousness. 8. Dante frees himself from the sack, goes to the Isle of Monte Cristo and discovers the buried treasure. Then, armed with his fabulous wealth and his superhuman wisdom, he discards his human identity of Edmond Dante and assumes the title of the Count of Monte Cristo. Commentary. Man discovers his awareness of being to be the inexhaustible treasure of the universe. In that day when man makes his discovery, he dies as man and awakes as God. Yes, Edmond Dante becomes the Count of Monte Cristo. Man becomes Christ.